Hello and welcome to the Listening Post's unboxing channel on YouTube. Today I'm unboxing something absolutely brand new from Q Acoustics, their Q Active 200s. Now these active wireless bookshelf speakers are a complete departure from anything Q Acoustics has produced before. Apart from the fact it's got its own amplification on board, and these are now a wireless sort of streaming amplified speaker, they're now using BMR drive units and DSP correction to ensure that the sound quality is perfect. It's quite unlike anything you will have cosmetically seen from Q Acoustics. It's a departure of everything. Yet they're beautiful. They sound amazing. They're reliable as far as their connectivity and pairing, and they sound stunning. Now today's unboxing video, as you can see in front of me, is going to include 3 boxes. We've got a hub, we've got a set of the most elegant stands, and we've got the speakers themselves. What I'm going to do, leave the speakers for now, put them down, and we'll concentrate on some of the smaller accessories. Firstly, the stands. Now, as always, please hang around until the end for some photographs. I'll take some close-ups of these. I won't get the opportunity during the unboxing to kind of unveil the stands for all of their elegance, so please hang around until the end. Nevertheless, the stands are independently packaged. Here in New Zealand, the stands come with the speakers, although they're probably an option if required. Inside the box, there's a clear second box associated with all of the accessories. Quite heavy, and in the accessory box is owner's guide and information associated with assembly. The box has a steel plate associated with the top of the stand, mounting that into the base of the speaker and coupling it all together beautifully. Bit of closed cell foam for the next piece that's underneath, and then all of the fixtures and fittings associated with spikes, power cord clips, etc., all laid out beautifully. Again, hang around for some close-ups of this. Each of the stands is separately packaged, so I'll just put one off to one side, so you get rid of that. And open one of the stands. The design of these stands is a trickle down from some of the much larger stands associated with the concept 300 bookshelves. Stands are firmly packed with closed cell foam, and the top supported to ensure that it will not get damaged in trade. So, taking the closed cell foam off, we get to see the stand for the first time. Now, these 4 feet spread out and lock as soon as you apply any tension from the 4 Allen keys at the top. You can get an implication of their height pretty quickly, and once tightened are remarkably stable. These wire guides and other things force the speaker stand to ensure it's stable, and with that resonant free. The top plate sits here with the screws and then up into the speaker itself. These are truly elegant, and with the little clips in place to guide the power cable off to one side, you end up with an exceptionally elegant, quite minimalist approach to their overall look. Now, putting that off to one side, we're going to concentrate on the second box. Now this is the Q Active hub. Now the hub is, as you would expect, a hub and transmitter. It gives you the ability to utilize all of the inputs and outputs, including Bluetooth and other streaming things of Spotify, and it's a UPnP player, of course, as well. Opening it, the first thing that we see is Q Acoustics elegant remote control. it's lightweight, it's small, it's designed with just enough buttons and inputs and outputs and no more. It's plastic, but it's good quality. It has the ability to turn the unit on and off, volume up and down, as well as skip and select the inputs you require. There is a flap of cardboard and then the quick start guide. Then the transmitter itself. Now it's worth pausing and noting that Q Acoustics have opted to try and reduce the amount of waste in their packaging. This is recycled cardboard and is 100% recyclable. Pausing and having a look at the transmitter, from a size perspective, you can see this is very, very straightforward to be able to add to any sort of system. It's discreet, it could sit behind a television if required, or strapped to a wall on top of any number of source components that you might have, or simply sit naturally where power is to act as a hub associated with the network features. Hang around for some photographs, I'll do some close-ups and we'll have a look at the back in a moment's time. The flap is held in place with a separate little box, and in this little box we have the power supply. It is USB based, and there's a couple of international plugs and sockets, as well as a set of AAA batteries for the remote control. Drilling into the base of the unit, we see the final piece of packaging, which is a stiff cardboard box. And in that box we have an HDMI cable for the purposes of an audio return channel out of a TV, or for the output from a high-end Blu-ray player for the purposes of audio playback. There's also a USB cable for the purposes of supplying power to the transmitter/hub. Right, close up of the hub. Firstly, the front of it emulates some of the buttons on the remote control. It's a simple touch, and there's power, there's speaker selection, there's resets of things, there's clearing of Bluetooth memory, and there's an input selector along with a series of lights associated with which input you have chosen. There's one marked optical, HDMI, network, Bluetooth and ANA. The Q Acoustics logo is elegant and just off to one side, and then the back of it is really where the magic happens. Obviously we've got a power input which is via USB-C. Above it is a ground, because this has the capabilities of running a moving magnet phono preamp, and so there's a ground associated with ensuring that you can earth the product appropriately. There's a reset and an Ethernet socket for its network features. Although this is wired and wireless, we would always recommend that where you can run a network cable. It's far more stable and easier to manage should there be wireless issues. There's the HDMI input, an optical input, and then an unusual little switch, and that's what I alluded to with the ground. These RCA inputs can be selected as either a moving magnet phono input, or, at the click of a switch, a traditional line input. The look and feel of the switch is good, implying a good quality product inside. It also has a subwoofer output, and these can be run with an active subwoofer if you desire. Okay, putting that off to one side, now it's time to have a look at the speakers themselves. Now, there's a pair of speakers in this box. The packaging is relatively muted with some basic information on it. Model and serial number and a scannable code on both ends, and the rest of it is just a very subtle white printing on cardboard. Opening any packaging like this is pretty straightforward. A simple approach as far as a craft knife goes. Right, looking at it, we've got the top of the packaging. Firstly, you'll see two figure-8 power cords with New Zealand plugs. Now, it wouldn't surprise me if this has been opened by the distributor in New Zealand and the international power cords, which there tend to be a myriad of, discarded and New Zealand ones added. At this point, again, I'd like to highlight their choice of packaging. They've opted for 100% recycled and 100% recyclable cardboard packaging, rather than some of the more permanent products like styrofoam or something along those lines. It's wonderful to see that more manufacturers are taking this kind of environmental question into account with their packaging. Okay, now like most things that are kind of heavy, my best advice is always to lift the box off the product. Don't try and lift the product out of the box. The cardboard's very straightforward as far as removing it, and again this can be recycled. In the middle we see a series of accessories sort of held in place by some of the closed cell foam. What I've alluded to, of course, is that these are the international power ones. We've got a couple from England and a couple of generics from the US, Singapore sort of thing there too. Each speaker has an additional layer of closed cell foam protecting it in transit. For obvious reasons, with the choices of not using polystyrene for other elements, they've added a layer or two in here. Lifting the speaker out, it's plain to see the top and bottom from a glance. Because two things, we've got feet that I'm looking at, and the second of course is the classic Q Acoustics sort of seal logo, implying of course a factory fresh set. Discarding the last of the closed cell foam and the bottom packaging, we get to concentrate on the speakers. Now these are both identical, so putting one off to one side gives us an opportunity to concentrate on having a look. It's worth mentioning in the meantime, the port bungs, they're sitting off to one side. They've come away with some of the packaging. They're oval in nature, and you'll see why in a moment. Right. First, a little bit of a caution. This is the front of the speaker, and then it's time to open the soft bag. Now, I try and be careful with this label. I mean, for obvious reasons, packaging care is important. And sliding that off, you see the beautiful finish of the speaker. Carefully lifting it out and having a look at the front, you see the immediate design departure from anything from Q Acoustics, and that's what I implied earlier. Q Acoustics are using BMR drivers. Now these are full frequency drivers, quite small. They're offset from centre as part of the design. Cabinet vibration and other dampening things inside a cabinet are critical, and Q Acoustics with their R&D noted that central in the cabinet there were more standing waves and there were issues with rigidity in the cabinet, so moving them off to one side immediately improved that. It gives it a certain appeal and elegance, and these BMR drivers are sunk behind a grille to protect them from damage. What they do, and what is probably their claim, is being able to track these from a DSP perspective and add the digital equalization. These can do whatever is required from a frequency response, and should there be anything lacking, overcome it within the digital domain. Hence the choice of a unique drive unit. Now some would say that this isn't necessarily hi-fi, and look, I agree, but the end results are lovely. They're easy to listen to, and for the style of speaker that this is and the category that they're going for, the quality of sound is admirably good. It's stunning, in fact, for something so compact. Beneath the two drivers we have the Q Acoustics logo protected with one of those sort of films that comes off nice and clean. Love doing that. Spinning it around, you get to have a look at the side and how deep this particular speaker is. The signature curves that we now know, or at least expect from Q Acoustics, are there in the cabinet. But what we see on the side here is a port associated with, well actually no, it's a diffusement associated with the rear firing bass driver. It means a more compact box can be achieved, and that the front drive units can deliver the mid-range and highs required, and the rear bass driver can allow for the low frequencies to diffuse allowing these speakers to be relatively close to a wall. It's a little bit of a design element. Looking at the top, we see an emulation of some of the key features of the transmitter and the remote control, including volume up and down and the input selection. At the back, we see the main port for the speaker itself, and this can be controlled with the port wads that I mentioned earlier. There's a mounting point for a bracket, and then there is the inputs associated with power, USB for servicing and upgrade, and the ability to switch from a configuration perspective where the speaker may be sitting in a room, and also define whether or not it's a left or a right. These again have a good solid click to them, with a 3 position for this unit and a 2 for the left and right. Looking at the base of the speaker, you see that there's nothing really to look at here. We've got a couple of rubber feet, and we've got some steel plate which incorporates the mounting points for the steel of the stand, as well as a heatsink for the amplification on board. Again, as I rotate around, we get to see the speaker and all of its curves, and again, please, a reminder, hang around for all of the close-up photographs. I'll unbox the other one and pair them up together so we'll get an opportunity to see them. So, there we have it. Q Acoustics Q Active 200s. There are 100 watts a channel, peaking at like 250, 280. There's Bluetooth, there's streaming, all of those features on board. It's a departure from a design that you may be familiar with, Q Acoustics, but they've done this admirably, and the results are nothing but perfect. There we have it, Q Acoustics Active 200 bookshelf speakers, unboxed here at the Listening Post, Christchurch, New Zealand. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more, subscribe to our channel.